It's the issue of realizing that war is not a solution, fighting is not a solution. Let's get together and find a peaceful way towards the future.
The words of Abdullah Abdullah, one of Afghanistan's leading politicians, at last week's peace talks between the Afghan government and the Taliban. This is the first time the two warring sides sit face to face. The talks are the result of a landmark deal signed by the US and the Taliban earlier this year. Under the agreement, the US committed to pulling out its forces by mid-next year if the Taliban stops allowing militant groups like Al-Qaeda to attack the US and its allies in Afghanistan. The deal also outlined how the Afghan government would release 5,000 Taliban prisoners in exchange for 1,000 members of the Afghan forces. Fast forward 6 months, and in August this year, 400 Taliban fighters accused of major crimes were released. One of them was Baz Mohammed, a kidnapper who spent 8 years in prison.
I call on my leaders and the president who ordered our release and call on them to embrace a permanent ceasefire and stop the bloodshed so that we all have peaceful lives. The lives of our youth have been miserable due to war.
But militants are still carrying out attacks. On the eve of the peace talks, the Taliban attacked civilians and security checkpoints in 18 of the country's 34 provinces. The UN estimates the Taliban has killed more than 1,500 civilians since striking the deal with the US back in February. The most urgent agreement is a permanent ceasefire. Other issues in discussion are social equality, women's rights, and details of power sharing. Speaking at the opening of the peace talks, US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said a peace deal would be challenging but benefit future generations.
I hope you will look inside your hearts. Each of you carry a great responsibility. But know that you're not alone. The entire world wants you to succeed and is counting on you succeeding.
This is Fazia Koufi, a trailblazer, a former member of parliament, and one of 4 women at the negotiating table with the Taliban. Last month, she survived an assassination attempt. The Taliban have denied they were behind the attack, but the US Embassy in Kabul has warned extremist groups are targeting women. Things weren't supposed to be like this. The US invasion of Afghanistan in 2001 was billed in part as a fight for the rights and dignity of women. The Taliban ruled Afghanistan for 5 years. Under the strict interpretation of Islamic law, women were banned from working and going to school. But after the US toppled the Taliban, some progress. 3 million girls returned to school. Now, with peace talks in the making, and the Taliban pushing for its form of government, some fear the fragile progress made in women's rights could be sacrificed. One thing is for sure, against a backdrop of violence, moving forward will be difficult. So, can these intra-Afghan talks put an end to nearly 2 decades of war? Tierney Bonini, The Newsmakers.